I come from a large, extended Chinese family. I have six uncles on my dad's side, and about the same number of aunts and uncles on my mom's side. Each uncle and aunt has a title and a number relative to their age order. Um, our last name, Ng, translates to the number five, with the house strokes added to acknowledge that it's a surname, a last name. My dad, number three of seven, was the only Ng brother for a long time to have kids. Because of that, my sisters and I became the adopted kids of my eldest uncle. My uncle, he was a cultured man, among other things. He was a New York City Kennel Club member. He had a tatami room built into his house. He was a lover of books and tea. He had a palate for the finer things in life, but he never forgot that he was a poor kid from Hong Kong. He taught me how to eat well and drink properly. This is a story about divine serendipity. It all started with Blake from the Tone Mob. He did a spot about a build from Sydney at Kam Bong Ng Guitars. And as a native New Yorker, born and raised in Queens, I had FOMO. I just felt obligated to check out the shop, and I just was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to check this out in person. So one day, after work, I used to work downtown, and after work, it was a rainy. I remember it was a rainy day that day. I wore my Tone Mob track jacket. It was raining. I walked over to the shop completely wet, a little nervous because I was wet and I didn't want to touch any guitars. But I walked over to the shop and I flashed my badge, the logo, the Tone Mob logo, and I said I was a friend of Blake's. And the folks at Carmine Street, they were so welcoming and so warm. I got a chance to see Blake's build ahead of schedule. And I gotta tell you, you walk in the shop, you see the old wood, the hand-built quality, the ambiance, the art that's on the guitar builds, the story behind the reclaimed wood, the upcycling, the made in New York quality, the whole story behind Carmine Street Guitars was so inspiring. I was like, I'm gonna put my name on the list. I want to add to this legacy somehow. This was like pre-COVID 2-3 years, so that's probably 7 now. And it was so long ago, I forgot that I put my name on the list. Earlier this year, my eldest uncle lost his battle to cancer. And his last words were, to me, John, don't worry. Jesus is here with me, and I'm very proud of you. It's funny, because as I'm doing the recording right now for the voiceover, I'm in the same room where I had the last FaceTime call with my uncle. So it's a little full circle moment, so to speak. He was like a dad to me, and I really wasn't prepared to do life without him. No one kind of prepares you for that as you get older, and I wasn't prepared. And that's when Cindy pings me, saying, "Hey, my build is coming up, and she wants to reconnect regarding designs." Again, I put my name on that list several years ago. At this point, I'm reading the script right now, and it says 2, but I'm pretty sure it was like close to 5 or 6. And it had a totally different guitar design. If you know me and my Instagram, all my guitars have the same color scheme: Falcon, white, and gold. That was the thing. My Super Chief is white and gold. My banding guitars Betty May is white and gold. Every build that I've ever had is pretty much white and gold. And this build was going to be no different. But I took the weekend to sort of respond. At that time, I just didn't have a desire or care to finish any guitar. I was grieving still. And after visiting my aunt that weekend, it hit me like a wave crashing on the seashore. Seeing my aunt grieve made me feel so helpless. I was also filled with regret because I didn't see my uncle in person before he passed. I felt the urge to do something, anything. Then, on the drive home, I had an Obi-Wan Kenobi moment with Jesus. I'm a believer, so it's not uncommon for me to see Jesus in my mind's eye and have a conversation with him. But for those that are not believers, I'm going to use a Star Wars analogy. He was like a Force ghost, appeared to me, and he said one phrase, just like Obi-Wan. Use the build to honor your uncle, John. My nerd Christian self just cried in the car. And then suddenly, like a gift from God, the creativity returned. It flooded in. I was a big fan of the water design from Cindy's Jimmy Strat. If you've not seen it, go to her page, look up that Strat from Jimi Hendrix, and the water design on that Strat was so beautiful. I took that idea and I photoshopped a rough design of Cindy later that week. Instead of the white falcon color scheme, the white and gold, I saw a more neutral tone because my uncle loved fishing and nature and all things natural. The top of the guitar has a shoreline design like the Jimi Hendrix Strat, because my uncle, he loved to fish and he loved the sea. He loved natural wood tones and nature, so the body had no extra paint. Really hard for me, but I said to myself, this is my uncle's guitar, so this is a guitar that he would love. On the binding of the body, I had his name burned into the wood. And as I thought about that, I realized my uncle would tell me, you can't just put my name on there. You have to put your grandparents' name on there as well. So I did. I added their names on the binding. And I thought to myself, it's kind of like a tattoo for my guitar. I'm not one to get tattoos on my body, but I can get them on my guitar. And so the wood is lightly stained, so that if I had to go back to Cindy, she can reburn some new things on my guitar. I also wanted to honor Carmen Street guitars. And so two of their classic signature things that they do on most of their guitars is the lightning bolt fret and the drop horn pickguard. So that's what I chose. And my uncle, and some nod to my uncle, he had several kote, which are like arm guards from his kendo days. So when you see someone with kendo, the arm guards that you have to hold to protect your arms when you hold the bamboo staff for striking, those are called kote. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. But he had them inscribed with our family insignia, Ng. And when I went to my aunt's house that day, I remembered that. She told me about it, and I took the kote and I removed one of the insignias from the kote, and I gave it to Cindy. I was like, "Can you put this on the guitar?" And she's like, "Yeah, that's great." And we settled on placing it in the space that was available right by the drop horn on the pickguard. And the fret inlays for me are very special. They're made out of seashells. Thanks to Cindy and her husband, they had some seashells laying around in the shop, and there's a pearl shaped seashell, and it was originally going to be on the first fret, but I told Cindy, "Can you move it to the fifth fret?" Because my family name is Ng. It means five, so it should be on the fifth fret. And the reason why it's a pearl, the shape of a pearl, is because the good news of Jesus is the pearl of great price, Matthew 13:46, and that's the gospel that my uncle found before he died. And the custom on frets, Smitty, they're so beautiful. They're so personal. I had a whole thing about tellies, and I was like, I just want to cut through. And he hand wound and custom designed the pickups for me, and they're beautiful. They line up and they fit so well with the guitar. I mean the design, it kind of evolved organically, and it's all thanks to Cindy and the fellas at Carmine Street. They were so kind and they're so gracious, and it just was perfect. It was perfect serendipitous timing. So I pray that God blesses you in the shop because you've blessed me so much. Thank you, Cindy and Carmetry Guitars. This means a lot to me.